Dice, check. Pencil, check. Character sheet, check. It's WebDM. We must be playing D&D. Today on WebDM, we're playing some 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. That's Autumn. We got Emma. We got Josh. I'm Pruitt. And as always, we got our Dungeon Master, Jim Davis. Let's get it on.
All right, so before we get started with the adventure, I think we need to finish off your characters. So let's go ahead and roll stats, and you guys can just kind of tell me what your characters are like, what their shtick is, and how they fit into the party.
Well, I'm the only local, so okay. I think that's a big deal, and a nice roll for starters.
Nice. And so you guys like rolling as opposed to picking your stats or buying them with a point buy? Why do you guys like rolling for stats as opposed to...
For me, it's because it's exciting. This is it's like gambling, but
yeah,
nothing to lose,
you get a 10.
Yeah,
sometimes every once in a while you get 3 18s.
Sure.
Yeah. Or sometimes you get all 13s and 14s.
Yeah.
I
got an 18 just then.
Hey, nice.
And I think it's just more fair to have random stats than
18.
On a point buy, everybody's coming out pretty much the same.
Yeah, to me, if you're going with a point buy, you might as well just use the standard array of just here are the stats that you have, arrange them however you like. And I like not knowing.
Yeah, I just closed out with an 18 and a 17.
Are we doing roll 7 times or roll 6?
We'll do the roll 7, drop the lowest. But make sure that everybody is competent in their core areas that they need to be. And it doesn't look like anybody had rolls that were atrocious. So no need to re-roll or anything. So finish out doing your characters, and once you guys are finished with that, we'll get started. And maybe while you're filling in your character sheet and going over your skills and everything, we can talk about, maybe introduce your characters just a little bit, because I want to do an in-character introduction.
Oh, sure. Well, I guess I'll start by saying that my character is John Arbalist, the Arbalist. He's a human, and his dad was a crossbowman. He's a crossbowman, and the only thing that's really changed is that he turned the farm into a breeding kennel.
Okay.
So he still makes steady hooch.
Right.
That's okay.
So you're trying out the Beastmaster Ranger for us.
Yes, I've tried the Ranger before, and I was underwhelmed on paper, but in practice it was really fun.
Right.
So I want to see if the Beastmaster is the same way. I did a hunter previously, now I'm doing a Beastmaster.
Okay. Emma, what about your mans over there? Who are you bringing to the table?
I'm playing my old and trusty Fabian. He's a character I've played a long time. I don't remember if he was my World of Warcraft character first, and I played him here, or vice versa. You guys remember?
I think he was Warcraft first.
Was he?
Warcraft first.
Well, he was awesome enough that I couldn't let him go when I realized that game destroyed my life.
Yes.
So, there you go.
It's your PTSD moment.
He's been very, very old. We played him post-death. Autumn did that once. He's been very, very young. He was 4 years old once. That's when he was Fabian.
Fabian the baby?
In this situation, he's 54. He's a Paladin.
Okay.
In this one, I took the oath from the Sword Coast Adventurers Guide, Oath of the Crown. He's a defender of civilization and order.
That's really classic Paladin there, where you're, upholding civilization on the frontiers of the of this empire that you guys are adventuring in.
Yep. Exactly. So he's been called to this place from their local sort of religious leader to try and help with a treacherous and mystical problem.
Yes, that is true. You have, so for the locals, you have background information that will come out as we play. For everyone else, I'll fill you in on the background here pretty soon. But for the most part, you guys were asked here by someone, whether it was part of your order or a friend or however you wanted to end up here. You wanted Rinn to end up here. You've been called here to help deal with some kind of problem. And you are about to go meet the local magistrate who is going to give you the details on that. But before we do that, we got this side of the table to talk about. So, Audie, what are you rocking over there?
Rinn is a rogue. I'm gonna go with the whole she's kidnapped by pirates as a small child. She's a high elf. And grew up in pirating life. Turns out pirates are really awesome, and they're super fun to grow up with. So...
That's true even now.
And she's decided, now that she's older and her adopted pirate dad died, she's coming back to the area that she knows she was from. Just trying to basically find new contacts for ways to make money. And it's kind of curious whether maybe, her birth parents are around and, not that she's probably planning on robbing them, but if, it turns out that they might have, like, artifacts that she's entitled to, then she would love to meet them.
She would love to meet them. So, you were originally from this part of the region.
Yeah.
But kidnapped fairly early on by pirates, become a pirate yourself, spend however long adventuring on the
I'm gonna
high
basically,
seas.
pretty much my whole life. Grew
Gotcha.
up as a pirate.
So it's been a child since you've seen your family. So you're not even.
And I imagine, she doesn't really come across other elves much. She was raised with humans and, thinks of herself more as human than anything else.
Gotcha.
Because her human pirate family.
And Pruitt, how about what are you bringing to the table today?
I'll be playing a character I've played before, actually, since we're in the same campaign world as an old campaign, the White Rock campaign.
Yep.
With Fabian. So I'll be playing Theron Prime,
Okay.
a storm sorcerer. He's a...
So you guys know each other?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We know each other. It's been a while.
Maybe Fabian
I
forget.
think I remember you.
Yeah, maybe. But storm sorcerer, so, lived life on the sea. It behooves him with his abilities to do so. At one point, he was in a big shipwreck, though. Was saved by a sea witch named Cora, who he, of course, fell in love with, but was not reciprocated. So it's kind of one of his endless things is to try to prove himself to her, and she has asked him, since she is busy with the locals and what she does down in the South Seas, to have me go up north and check out this magistrate villa problem.
Gotcha. So, I mean, even though you have this bond with one of the local casters, it's not like she's completely disregards you. It's just you're smitten with her, and for you, she's just like, this guy named Theron. Maybe we studied together back at the whatever, or since rescuing you, have gotten to know each other pretty well. So so she's friendly with you. That will put us. We're going to start at the villa. I'm going to say that John, you were already meeting with the magistrate.
Okay.
So for everyone else, you are just arriving at the sort of the gates of the villa. John's already inside, meeting with Cassius, the magistrates. We'll get to you in a second. Okay. Everybody else, you're approaching the villa. It's early afternoonish, or maybe not even early afternoon. It's like 11 in the day, just before lunch.
Okay.
When you arrive at the villa looks out of place for this region. This is sort of the imperial style. It's open air. It looks next to the massive trees that make up the coastal forests of this region. This looks very out of place. But this villa was built. This villa's fairly new, built within the last year, as the magistrate has just taken over. So you are greeted at the door by a dwarf in footman's livery. He introduces himself as Reese and asks your own name and what business you have. You're already inside, so you've already gone through all this.
Cool.
So you ask the other three. So that's Fabian, Rinn, and Theron.
Okay.
Say, I'm Fabian. I was called here by Cassius.
He's like, they've been inspecting you.
All right. Well met. I'll give him a gregarious handshake.
Right.
One of those ones where it's like the elbow.
The elbow
Not
shake.
like hand,
The elbow shake.
like elbow
Hercules
shake,
handshake.
like
Show us.
that.
Yeah. Check for weapons. Check for weapons. That's what you're doing.
That's not what Fabian is.
Oh no.
He was just
Orc
being
or
nice.
goblin would be a better...
You need a hug.
Goblins are fey creatures in this world. So orcs are regular orcs. They're beyond this border fence that protects the northern boundary of this territory. That's orc territory. So you might know. At times they have both peaceful and warlike relationships with the.
Why not?
So it is what it is.
Got an extra language, why not?
So you guys introduce yourself to Reese. Anything in particular you ask him before he shows you in and leads you to the columned portico?
I'll introduce myself as Theron. I was sent at the behest of Cora, Sea Witch to the south. And what troubles this place?
The dwarf kind of gives a grave look, just like something bad has happened. I'll leave Cassius to fill in the details, but this region is troubled and has been for quite some time.
Show me to him, then.
All right, so he leads you inside the villa. You walk past sort of an atrium, a waiting room area, and he takes you sort of out back into this open air kind of patio. So this is this is like, I don't know if you guys remember the old Rome TV show where they're all just sitting around their columned porches.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. As you do.
Dormouse and sparrow and things like that. So this is kind of that. It's just sort of out of place. In terms of the climate and the environment, this is a sort of a northerly climate. Lots of tall primordial trees that they use for logging in this region. That would be just sort of the background information that you know about this place. They make a lot of their living based off fishing as well as logging in this part of the world. So Cassius, you can see him. He is an Imperial. He dresses in the Imperial style. He's got the robes. He's got the short Imperial haircut. Doesn't look anything like the locals around here. And he is sitting with... Tell us what you look like.
John Arbalist. He's fairly short, thin, with a big, scraggly, graying beard. Wears a skull cap with mosquito netting on the side, protect his ears from little insects. And of course, he's got his dog Gleason with him, who's decked out in chainmail barding. It was quite ferocious looking.
Okay.
And he's John's survivalist. That's the best way to put it. He's those guys from that A&E show or whatever.
Duck Dynasty?
Sure, maybe. Mixed with like Daryl from Walking Dead.
Daryl from Walking Dead. Okay.
Yeah,
Naked and Scared. What?
He just carries everything with him at all times.
Okay.
He's a survivalist.
Right.
He's got a high con.
So, but you're not just a survivalist. Like you are this region's.
He's an oral historian, and he was one of the original heroes. It was this great tragedy 13 years ago.
13 years ago.
That befell the area, and he was influential in killing the beast responsible, or at least that's he was there. He was there at the end. He put the bolts in it to drop it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So everybody else, you guys can tell us what you look like, how you're dressed, how you present yourself. Cassius, welcomes you and pulls up some chairs for you, and there's a bunch of food on the table that you guys can partake in. But yeah, what do you look like? What's your gear like? How do you swagger in?
Fabian is a man of sort of average stature, but you think he's taller because he's got fancy robes. He has a big golden shield, which is special. That he has probably laced across his back. He carries a warhammer most of the time.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And he's decked out in the robes of his order.
Okay.
I'm gonna say they're red.
Okay.
Sounds nice.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
That's good. So did you arrive here by boat, by horse?
I imagine a combination
Okay.
of things. Probably some of the boat, some boating. I don't imagine Fabian likes boats very much.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yes, but he's a little bit older. He's got Widow's Peak. Kind of. He's got Travolta scalp at this point.
just
a little.
just a giant field of forehead.
Yes.
You like that?
Well,
No.
more. I'm meeting you halfway.
How about Rinn and Theron?
Rinn's a younger elf. She's got bright red hair, very super tan, kind of weather beaten face, like somebody that's been sailing her whole life.
Yeah, she's got a sea face.
Sea face. She's studded leather and little dark blue cloak that has little fishes all over it. Looks like she's kind of hiding a lot of crap under her cloak. She got here by boat, and I'm gonna say it's maybe something where she just kind of overheard something's going on, and so she just is trying to just kind of BS her way into this. I'm with him.
Gotcha.
You might have showed up with me.
Yeah.
I showed up in a boat.
Okay.
Maybe I picked you up in.
They don't really have none of the communities around here have names. They're just sort of villages.
Maybe I picked you up at the outlet from this river into the sea
little
there.
bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Into the bay.
And I just kind of implied that I was going the same way he was.
Okay.
And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, didn't really tell anybody I'm not strictly invited.
Yeah.
Well, as long as you can work, man the oars.
Yeah.
And I walk in, and taller build, very slight though, probably mid 6 feet, thin, wearing kind of dark blue robes with kind of a white cream trimming, kind of colors of the white capping sea. Long beard, bald on top. Think very kind of Tenzin from Korra.
Oh yeah,
It's kind of weird that Korra's the lady that saved me. I'm in love with since. Yeah. Anyway.
It happens.
But yeah, so you just got a long, very slender, metal rut staff. Doesn't look like you could actually hit anybody with it, but
Like it might shatter or something.
yeah. But when you walk in, your hair might stand on edge just a little bit. So yeah, the static electricity of the room kind of rises just a few degrees.
Gleason growls at you, but I calm him
Feelings
down.
ache.
Yeah, makes your feelings ache if you have any.
Yeah.
But yes, I'll walk in and sit down.
All right. So Cassius invites you all to sit down at the table, and various servants come out and pour you little cups of wine and offer you plates of fruit and cheese and things like that for
plates.
breakfast. He sits down and basically says, he introduces everybody to John.
Hello.
He says that John's been helping me with this matter for the last 2 months. So in terms of what time of year it is early spring. Think first week of March.
So pretty cold.
I never went through the trouble of naming the different months, so I just used the months that we have. It's much easier.
March.
So it's early March. Cassius explains to you that 2 months ago, right around sort of the height of winter, one of the local families was found dead in their home, and the hut that they lived in was burned to the ground. That they just found sort of the charred corpses of everyone in their home, except for the family's daughter, who that week had just turned 13. There we go.
It's our first cat.
There's a Medea. Hi, Medea.
Hi, baby.
This is the 5th character.
Cassius goes on to explain that the same thing happened again in February in another village. The family was found murdered in their home. The hut where they lived was burned to the ground, except this time both their 13-year-old daughter and their younger son, who's 7, are missing in both instances. So
So the family's dead each time, and the children, with both daughters at 13,
both daughters
coming of age.
Yeah.
Well, these are particular daughters from the town's past. These were daughters that we had saved years ago, 13 years ago to be exact, and they were taken around the same time that they're now having their families being murdered. Kind of an odd coincidence.
Taken
So
by
both
who?
of these daughters were taken originally?
Well, yes.
Yeah, John was there and helped investigate this matter 13 years ago. But as I understand it, the events that happened were that once a month, beginning at the new year and carrying on through Yule time, there were infants who were taken from their families, gone about a week before being returned or either found nearby in the woods unharmed. According to the records, there were no real clear culprits, and no one was definitively brought to justice for these crimes, but many of the local fae were accused and...
Always blame the forest folk.
Yes, and
It is a common thing.
the local sought vengeance against the fae that live around here.
Well, I put down what I thought was, and still think to this day, was the mastermind. It was some giant creature. He
Yeah.
died quick enough.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's how John earned his name around here, but it's starting again. These are the same families, the same girls, the same villages, and so far the same order that they were abducted in 13 years ago.
But before it was just abductions, no one
was harmed.
And the kids always came back totally unharmed.
All 12 of them
And
came
did
back.
they grow up seeming like normal children?
Up until a week before their 13th birthday, everything was fine. We know that from... just to look at the map here. So the first one was taken from this village, and the next one was taken from this village. So this was January, this was February.
So a week before their birthdays?
A week before their birthdays, they started acting out. Lots of their parents, the village elders would say, that they ran away or that they started getting in fights or stealing things. After the last one, all across the villages, people have been reporting problems with their children. Discipline, behavioral problems, that kind of thing. It was after then that I knew that we had a real problem on our hands.
Has anybody recently destroyed any temples, desecrated graves, or scorned gods?
No, everyone around here is good. They're good folk. None of the islands on the Shrine Isle were desecrated. That's sort of where this island right here is sort of the spiritual center of the region.
We don't have any cultists around here, if that's what you're asking.
You sure?
Mostly. Those are good folk. They don't know any better.
So
Perhaps you don't know any better.
so
You're too close to this.
John, in an out-of-game sense, the first time, back in January, 2 months back, you would have probably investigated this at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You found tracks that led into the sea, basically. I mean, they're on an island, but the particular there were a set of footprints that led from the burned hut to a nearby shore, and then they disappeared.
Gotcha. Was this both?
The second one, tracks led into the woods.
Okay.
For whatever reason, you were unable to pursue them to where they ended. You just know that they went into the woods.
Yeah.
Well, what do you want us to do about it?
So he kind of gives you a very exasperated, it's kind of desperate look. This is a man who's out of his depth. He mentions that there is, that the local garrison commander isn't really equipped to handle this kind of thing.
And Cassius is new around here as well, right?
Cassius has only been here a year.
He's an outsider.
This is I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. I just know that if something isn't done, this whole place will be. We can't have 12 families murdered in their home with their children missing.
Where was the third child taken?
The third,
Which of these?
So she is from. She's from this village, and yesterday her parents brought her to me, and we have locked her away in the grainery, which is like right across the street. It's like right over there.
Yeah.
It's the oldest structure in the region. It's the only really stone structure, and that's where they've kept her. We haven't put her in chains. We've just kept her there for her own safety.
Has she been inspected with an arcane eye or a divine eye?
Lucan, one of the local priests, has checked her out. He doesn't see anything particularly wrong with her. There's nothing that he can tell is afflicting her, but he's not a particularly amazing. He's just like a low-level priest.
Right. When does she, and when is her birthday?
Next week.
So we're right about a week before her birthday?
Yep.
I would suggest, really, we want to talk to her, but I would suggest if they have a penchant for burning things, don't put them with the grain.
Well, it's empty. It's a stone structure, and she's in a room without any. She couldn't. There's nothing to set on fire. You'll be handsomely rewarded, and of course, you know that your actions will have served the greater good. These people don't deserve whatever horrors are befalling them.
As far as we know.
So you can expect I can cooperate as much as I can with you. You can have access to all the manor's records. They go back at least a century. Since this all started, I have pulled the scrolls from 13 years ago. which he then sort of takes as a big basket full of like scrolls and papers that you can look at. This was all of the former magistrate's records at the time.
He's a good man.
You can expect the full cooperation of Abraxas, the Hobgoblin commander that's at the garrison, but obviously he can't just pull a bunch of soldiers out of nowhere to come help you. But if you need something like that, he would be the person to come and talk to. And the girl that they have not captured, but the girl that they've kept locked away, her name's Rya, R-Y-A.
And she was from March.
Yes.
Has she begun acting strangely other than being locked in a grainery?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
She might just not like being locked in a grainery.
It's that, but the parents of these children are basically, they're like, say the ones in January, they maybe complained to a village elder about, or just the villagers just know. They live in these sort of real close-knit communities, so their neighbors know whenever there's a lot of fighting or a lot of strife.
Truth, but to be honest, they are also 13.
They are also 13.
13's a hellish age.
Are you sure these people haven't been looking at these children with fear their entire lives?
I'm not sure, but that's a possibility, yes.
Did you guys hear about that one town? I think it's called Salem. Gotta watch out.
What?
Josh, where is John from? Which village he's from?
I'm gonna put, I think maybe originally one of these logging villages. His daddy had a farm, so he can't be too into the woods. So maybe along the coast somewhere. I don't know.
It's fine. Yep.
Something like that. We'll just we'll put a little double circle right there. That's my cabin.
Okay, so the nearest village, the nearest community of loggers there. One of the girls, there was one girl who was abducted there.
Okay.
Back in July.
Okay.
So her birthday is coming up in July. Her name is Gretchel. It's a combination of Gretchen and Rachel.
Nice. Gretchel.
And so you would know that she, like for her, for instance, she's being kept under watch by her family. The whole village is united in her safety.
Yeah.
And that kind of, they're nervous and wary, and by now everybody is remembering the events of 13 years ago and kind of starting to panic. And there's
John's been trying to tell people it's just protect your children. That's all you need to worry about.
Gotcha.
Let us handle everything else.
Okay.
Do most of these people live in the same area that they did when these children were babies?
Most of them. They know that one of the families, Ulia, whose birthday is in August, that she moved. Cassius isn't quite sure exactly where she moved to, but she's still in the region. She was born in August.
Okay.
Ulia. You can make a history roll if you want.
I want to, although it won't be best. That's okay. Hey, a 15.
Her parents died about 10 years ago, and she lives with her aunt and uncle in a different village.
I say that. There we go.
Did you say your parents died 15 years ago?
10 years ago.
10.
Oh.
Was there any suspicious circumstances around the parents' death?
Illness.
Yeah, she's all right.
They didn't both die at the same time, but they both died within a year of one another. So you go into the granary. The villa is, like I said, there's sort of the villa itself, the domicile, the home, and then surrounding it are about 5 or 6 other structures. There's a small temple to the cult of the Sol Invictus, which may or may not be the religion that Fabian's a part of.
Sure, why not?
Okay. There's a sort of a small temple there. There's like a brewer and a mill, that kind of thing. And then there is this ancient structure, which kind of looks like that. Part of it is wooden, part of it is stone. Weathered, moss-covered structure that a crowd of about 15 or so is milling about. The door to the structure is open. You can kind of see an adolescent girl who's fighting with her parents in the middle of this doorway, and everybody's kind of crowded around them, and they're just, you can sort of hear them pleading like, "This is for your own safety. Please just cooperate."
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Chill out.
Yeah. There's definitely an air of tension and nervousness. Oh yeah.
What's
So
the weather like outside right now?
it's cool.
Oh, sweet.
It's not quite, like I said, it's early. It's still early spring, so the morning chill is just beginning to kind of get burned off. But this is storm season. It's probably going to rain today.
Okay.
There's probably going to be a nasty storm today. You have like that ability to predict the weather, right, or something like that.
No, I can affect the
Ah,
weather
okay.
around me.
So yeah, that's what you can see as you guys are leaving the Cassius's villa. Is there anything you wanted to do there before you left?
Well, we do have those scrolls to look through. Is anybody else history inclined? We want to flip through them and see if we can note anything.
Not really.
Well, John was there
That's
earlier. Maybe John took some time to flip through and try to refresh his memory.
Do y'all want to maybe look through the scrolls while the more charismatic go try to calm the girl down?
Sure.
Well, I'm fine with that. I've got a terrible charisma, but I am well known, so maybe I could help with that too. But I at least want to look at the scrolls
Okay.
so that he knows.
I'll
What's
give you a
up?
hand.
Okay, good. Rinn, is it?
Rinn.
Ren.
Rinn.
Ren.
Rinn.
Oh. Ren?
Rinn.
Ren.
Right?
Rinn.
Rinn.
But with more N's.
Rinn.
Well, I'm John, and I guess it's a pleasure to meet you.
It's definitely a pleasure to meet me. But also a pleasure to meet you.
Oh. No, you make me feel special. Thank you.
You're welcome. You smell like dog.
Well, I raise them.
List of the
Excellent.
of the children that were abducted.
Good.
Tesca and Catlia are obviously the ones that for January and February that are missing.
So they're completely missing. Okay.
Their bodies were not found.
Gotcha.
In the rubbles in the ruins of their family's huts, their bodies were not found. Catlia's and her brother Malik were also missing.
Has there been other theft of children?
It's not that common. It really, so 13 years ago, and this is sort of maybe something. Do you want to give the background that you know to everybody real quick, or do you want me to paraphrase it?
I would rather you paraphrase it so that I don't butcher it.
So here's what happened 13 years ago. Just as you guys are chatting and talking, this is basically once a month for 12 months. An infant girl was abducted on the week that she was born. She was on that week. She was brought back a week later unharmed. Some of them were just found in the woods. By summer, the villagers thought it was the local fae, and they began doing things like chopping down dryad trees, poisoning nymph wells, burning satyrs alive, that kind of thing.
It's pretty bad.
It was pretty bad. So that by the fall, that had kind of, pardon the pun, died out.
Aww.
And people had sort of become resigned to this happening. And particularly when, say, by September, when the girl who was abducted in January, nothing happened to her. She was just gone for a week. Okay, nothing's really wrong. By December of the next year, when no new girls were kidnapped, all of that sort of pogrom against the local fae had died out by the fall. When the next January rolled around and no one was abducted, people just kind of they just wanted to put the whole thing behind them. Mm-hmm. So there was this year of 12 kidnappings. You thought that you took care of the beast, whatever fae creature it was that you slew, and that was it. No problems. There haven't been, these particular children haven't experienced any oddness. No, there's been no reason until this current January to suspect that anything was wrong. And then their families started showing up dead and their houses burned down.
Well, we had every reason to believe that we had solved the problem.
Okay. So those are the names of everybody. Those are what you know about them right now. What I just told you is the information you get from going through the records.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That was that. And that at the time, the people who were investigating this phenomenon were as frustrated about the lack of information. Everybody was unhappy about the fact that they couldn't definitively say this is the thing that was doing this.
I mean, was there any evidence of the children living in the lair of the beast that you slew? What did you slay?
He doesn't talk about it with most folks, but he slew a troll with the help of his daddy's hooch and some fire. He kind of assumed that this particular troll was responsible. Since he's leveled up and he's learned a little bit more, and he's had his doubts. But
why didn't you just eat the kids?
Yeah.
Part of his fame came from this, though, so it's hard for him to talk about it publicly. And usually what he tries to do is privately tell people. Well, it's like, oh, well, we think we got it. But, maybe we didn't. And just be careful.
Right.
And now that it's become a problem, he's got a personal stake in figuring out what's going on. Because his his reputation's on the line. You know, he did the best he could. He didn't do anything wrong. At least he didn't feel that way. But now,
His reputation is on the line.
his reputation's on the line.
Right. Fabian and Theron, you guys are headed towards the
We'll
cluster
go to the grainery.
of...
And you said it was a scene of some tension?
yeah, I mean, like,
Torches
there's...
burning on the walls and stuff like that?
Nothing like that. So
Pitchforks? You got any pitchforks?
there's no pitchforks. There's just a bunch of, like, peasants who are standing around outside, and this girl's parents who are kind of... We're trying to be as gentle with her as possible, and like, no, you gotta stay in this place for a while because it's, you know, like your friends' houses were burned down and their families were murdered,
Right.
and so they obviously don't want that to happen to her or to them, but they're still trying not to. They're not just gonna. She's not under arrest or anything.
Right.
They're just. This is the safest place that she could be.
Well, I guess as we approach, I'm going to use my action to shift the direction of the wind, the exact opposite direction that it's blowing,
Okay.
within 100 feet of me,
Okay.
just to kind of like
Everybody's
Get everyone's
startle
attention.
everybody and get everyone's attention.
Yeah.
yeah. So they kind of like,
Yeah.
you know,
We'll stride up and be like,
ready.
please, people, we need to maintain an air of calm.
Okay. They sort of the crowd that's kind of clustered out in front of this building sort of parts and, you know, backs away from the two of you guys. They don't. It's not very often that they see.
Displays of power.
Yes.
Can I do
Yeah.
a persuasion check to try to calm and mollify the crowd a little bit, and maybe have them go about their business, so there's not so many eyes staring at this girl, and we can maybe actually talk to her?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So that's what I'm gonna do.
So it's gonna be DC 10.
Got a 16.
Okay.
Yeah, just tell them, like, people, we're here. We were summoned by the powers that be in the area, and we are going to find out what's doing this once and for all.
Okay.
But if you can please go back to your homes, so we can keep calm.
There are a few people that are kind of just barely keeping it together, trying not to break down into tears. There is a tangible aura of fear that you can sense from these people. They are scared. They live in scattered villages around. You know, they don't live in walled communities or anything. They don't have to deal with this kind of stuff,
Right.
and so they're out of their depth. How about Fabian?
Fabian will try to give everybody reassuring nods, and the ones that are extra scared, he might try to remind them that Rya is the same sweet little girl they've known for 13 years, until we know anything otherwise.
Okay.
Nice.
The mom seems to appreciate that.
Nice.
She gives you a very scared but hopeful smile. So the family is there in the doorway. The girl looks like any other, you know, adolescent peasant. She's dressed in the traditional sort of clothes of the region. Lots
The
of
potato sack.
no, they dress in like they tend to dress in like brightly colored garments. Lots of white, lots of green, lots of red, lots of blue. And she just looks scared. She's like she hasn't slept in a while. Her eyes are all red. You can tell that she's been screaming and crying. Her parents look utterly exhausted and concerned. And they just kind of like look at the two of you. And the dad's like, "Can you help us?"
Well, we're certainly here to try. Would you mind if we talk to Rya alone?
They kind of look at the parents kind of look at one another before the dad's like, "Yeah, that should be."
Because hopefully we can be neutral parties, you know.
As
And
you
maybe
talk,
she'll open up to us.
Okay.
as you talk to them, I'm going to, as inconspicuously as possible, cast Detect Evil and Good.
Okay.
Nice.
So remind me what that does again.
It means I can detect evil and good.
It does a bit. It's not quite as. There's no way to detect alignment anymore in 5th, right? It tells about creatures or something.
For the duration, you know if there's an aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead within 30 feet of you, as well as where it's located. Similarly, you know if there's a place or object within 30 feet of you that has been magically consecrated or desecrated. So it's basically like my sense things from a paladin, just a little bit broader.
Okay.
Nice. You got multiple ways to detect
Within 30
badness.
feet,
30 feet.
there are 2 fiends and a fae nearby.
Holy crap, where are they?
The fiend, the presence that you feel of fiendish present is distant,
Okay.
close but distant.
What does that mean?
You would recognize it by 8th level. You would recognize that as they are nearby on a whatever they're called plane.
Okay.
So that they are not on the material plane, but
Gotcha.
that they are one step away from. Probably what it means is that they are sitting on the ethereal watching what's going on.
Okay. and what about
Hot
the others?
damn.
Yeah.
The Fae. Sorry, I said it.
You said one fiend.
One fiend, two Fae. Sorry, I missed it. The Fae are sort of just sitting above the door, like you can just sort of sense them. They're just kind of like right up there.
I'll do my best to look at them and just. Yeah.
How long does that last? Like, can you tell when they
Up
leave?
to 10 minutes.
Up to 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'll just keep it going.
Okay. When you look at them,
Yeah.
then you can sense them fly away.
Okay. That's all right.
Okay.
Fabian has no qualms with Fae folk.
The presence of the fiends persists.
Shift uncomfortably,
Okay.
but nothing in Rya. I understand you're Rya.
I am.
Why don't we go sit in here and have a chat for a while? We're here to help.
Okay. So the interior of this structure is kind of old and musty. The one half of it is, like I said, a timber structure that houses. It's pretty crowded actually because they moved all of the important stuff out of the stone portion. So the first part of it's kind of crowded. You have to sort of wind your way through a bunch of sacks and boxes and crates and things. And you get to a very stout, iron-bound wooden door that leads to the stone portion of the structure, and it's basically like a 3-story tower that goes up, largely undifferentiated inside. You can tell that they used to, keep the really important stuff in here, but now it's mostly empty. There is a small bed and table set up, as well as a little candle that's just barely burning.
It's a little prison.
And while she is
a
talking
little
to
baby
Rya,
prison.
I'm going to pull out my wand of detect magic and cast detect magic right quick.
Okay.
And just look at Rya and look around her.
She radiates.
And I'll spend an action to focus on her.
Yeah, she radiates strong necromancy.
Whoa.
You can see it just sort of bleeding off of her as an oily black cloud. You sense her with you still got your spell going?
Yeah.
She's not undead.
When I sense that, I'm just gonna continue just kind of walking around the room while Fabian is kind of has her distracted, and I'm gonna send a
perception check.
I'm gonna send a quiet message to Fabian.
Okay.
Basically, she has the touch of death about her.
Touch of death. You can make me a perception check as well.
12.
Death touch.
Sorry, 13.
There's something. I mean, if it wasn't apparent now, there's something about the child that seems off. She just seems agitated and angry, not so much scared.
I got a 13 also.
You're 13.
Yeah.
There is another magic here as well. It's not just necromancy, but you're having trouble pinpointing it.
I send a message to Fabian. I'm just kind of in the corner of the room, just as quietly as possible. Message her about something in the room and that she radiates necromancy.
Okay.
Acknowledge religion. Is it possible that she's possessed?
Okay. Yeah. What are Rinn and John up to? Like, you guys were going through the documents. Are you doing anything else while you're?
No.
I think after we're done with that, we should go out and join them.
Yeah, I
Meet
mean,
this kid that's causing all this trouble.
yeah. John's hoping that he can. Maybe people will calm down if he shows up. Maybe they're just like, oh.
If you step out of the villa and people recognize you,
Okay.
the crowd that's kind of gathered in front of the door, and the parents of the child might actually come up to you and start talking to you. To answer your question, it's possible that it's possession, but it doesn't look like other possessions that you've investigated and dealt with. There doesn't seem to be anything that's latched on to the girl. There doesn't seem to be any presence that's connected with her that you can't separate. So like the fiendish presence, whenever you walked into the structure, didn't follow you.
Okay.
It just kind of mingled around. You can tell it's still present. It's still within 30 feet of you. The Fae have fled. Someone, say, possessed by a ghost or a demon would appear as like a
host kind of?
like a double image almost to your senses.
Okay.
Where
But
that
it's
doesn't-
possible that something is influencing her actions.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll start just by asking her some just basic questions about her life and
Okay.
Try to get an idea of who she is, see if there's anything I can do to get her to express any sort of positive emotion.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out if she's just 13.
So she's like a rubber band. You start pulling her away from her belligerence, trying to just talk to her. What's her life like? She seems to have a fairly normal life, and then like on a dime, she'll turn right around and just like spit in your face or try to scratch you.
Oh, that.
Or scream at you.
What? If I ask her why she's doing this, then what does she say?
What do you ask her?
Like, why are you doing this to me? We just met. I'm nice.
She still doesn't like you.
I would have given you some candy.
She looks at your holy symbol and likes. I don't like that. I don't like you.
I'll put it away.
Can I make an insight check while they're interacting?
Mm-hmm.
Just to, I don't know, glean anything further?
Mm-hmm.
23?
Whether or not she's possessed, she's certainly acting like someone possessed.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to be around the holy symbols. She's more aggressive with Fabian than she was with you. Like, she's actively hostile with Fabian.
Fabian's feelings are hurt. He likes to think he's good with kids.
Yeah.
He'll let you have a crack at her if I'm intimidating her.
Okay.
Pick her up and shake her.
You guys are outside.
Shake her.
Yeah.
So yeah, the parents come up and talk to John.
I ask them how they're doing
Yeah.
and tell them that they need to be careful. They need to be careful about their own safety as well as their daughters.
Mm-hmm. What about Rinn?
I'm gonna take a second to ask the parents if she has any siblings, or if she's an only child.
She has two younger brothers. They're 3.
Do they happen to be
3
around?
and 4. They're not. They're with friends.
The first family that was killed, it was only the 13-year-old daughter was taken. There was no other children, right?
Correct. Yeah, mom and dad were found.
And the second one, a 7-year-old was taken.
And they were found, like, it was pretty obvious that they were violently killed, even with the fact that their house burned down. Like, they were found in pieces inside the house.
Do we notice anything weird or smell anything weird?
I mean, it's just there's a sense of tension and fear from that you get from the crowd.
Of course.
Are you trying to magically sense anything?
No. I was just wondering if, with Gleason's acute smelling, if he smelled like rot or something like that.
If Gleason does?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gleason is not. He's on edge.
He's on edge.
Gleason's on edge. He seems to be sort of like growling at something in a corner kind of thing.
Okay.
Seems agitated, pacing around.
I'm probably gonna let John do his, famous guy thing.
Sure.
And just sort of wander off and head into this structure.
The first part of the structure, like I said, is real crowded with sacks and crates and things. There's like a heavy wooden door towards the back of the room that you can hear Theron and Fabian talking through. And you can hear like this girl like screaming and fighting and.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen for a little while and just kind of get an idea of her attitude before I go in there.
Okay.
God, freaking brat.
Give me a perception check.
Pirates are better behaved than that girl.
17.
17. I mean, you can hear her. You can hear your two companions, but you can also hear something coming sort of from the outside the structure, from the back. You can just hear something kind of rummaging or rustling around from like the far side of the structure.
Is there any windows on this side that I could look out of?
Yeah, there are a few windows on the outside.
Go peer over the edge and see if what's going on down here.
You can see like there's like a bush or some kind of tree or something outside, and the leaves on it are shaking and moving around, like something's in it, moving.
But doesn't appear to be anything in there?
There doesn't appear to be anything in there.
How far down is it?
I mean, it's like right outside the door. You could like walk out the door and back around the structure and get to that.
So could I just basically just kind of jump out this window, land in that bush?
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
I'm gonna catch something invisible in a bush.
So you jump out
Yeah.
of the window, and you. Give me an acrobatics roll.
Nice.
Like DC 10.
And I'll, kind of look for a minute and see. Maybe I can tell. 12.
12. Okay.
Does it look like there's something that's moving the leaves? And if so, maybe if I can grab that general area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's something in. I mean, the bush in question isn't that thick or big enough to be able to not see what's in it. You should be able to see what's making this shrub move. Because you land there, you're trying to are you jumping out or are you just kind of landing and then waiting and seeing what's going to happen?
Yeah, I'm kind of gonna try to just sort of scoop up anything that might be there, but just do it as quick as possible. So if there is anything there, it doesn't really have time to get away.
All right. In that case, I need Rinn to make me. You're trying to grab something, so that'd be a grapple check.
Disadvantage.
With disadvantage because it's invisible.
Sorry.
So yes.
Thanks, Pruitt.
So I'm here.
16.
16? Okay.
15 and 16.
So your arm grabs onto something thick and sinewy, like muscle or an arm or something, but it's big. Whatever it is that you've got a hold of, you're like this kind of. And it stands up, still invisible, and pushes you off of it. Ooh. So it sort of slams you back against the wall. What's your AC?
17.
17? Okay, so it hits you. Oh, it gets advantage. It hits you. You're going to take 11 damage.
Damn.
As it hits you hard, and you go slamming into the wall. And you can hear it say something. Fabian can make me a perception check. You guys in the room, both of you can make me a perception check. The girl starts screaming.
I'm gonna go ahead and holler really loudly.
I'm focused on the girl.
24. I speak abyssal and infernal.
Something in infernal says, "Get off me."
I will cut it and run out there. I'll respond to your message by saying, "Hold the girl."
She starts flipping out and she's on the floor, scream. She's flipped over the table. There was a cup of water on there that she spilled. Yeah. She seems to be and her parents kind of rush in from the outside. So we're not technically in combat, but let's roll initiative so that we can keep track of this round around.
Thanks for checking out WebDM. Go ahead and come back next week for our continuing adventure. Go ahead and head over to Facebook and like us there. And don't forget, click that subscribe button, tell your friends about us, come on back next week.